Hi folks, 2019 is going to be over tonight. I think in Australia and places like the Philippines it's over already, apparently. Here it's 5:45 and the year is not over, but it's going to be 2020. I realised the other day we're not quite on the cusp, but it's about to be a new decade, but I think actually 2021 is basically the first year of the new decade. So we're still at the very last year, or about to experience the very last year of the 2010s, basically. And then we'll be in the 20s all over again. I wonder if there'll be any... There probably won't be that many echoes and similarities to the 1920s. But yeah, apart from the background of social justice ideas, wars, culture wars, and Brexit and all that nonsense. Apart from all that, I had a very full and interesting year. A fairly good year. Some bad things did happen, but I had some good experiences from them. I wish some of them went through and continued. Mostly I'm quite amazed at how much I've done this year. It has, compared to the past few years, it's actually been, I want to say a good year. I'll say a good year, tentatively. So at the start of the year, I'm actually going to take this friggin' jumper off because I'm boiling. So at the very start of the year, I was continuing my tour trips up to visit lots of the tours, which are the, I guess they're like mini mountains around here in Dartmoor National Park with my dad, to help him get over various hospital visits and things that he's had over the years to do with his legs mainly, and so I got him walking, and also I really wanted to go on like day trips again, because it was something we used to do as a family quite a lot when I was younger. Was we used to go on day trips quite a lot to different places, and for a period we stopped doing that entirely, and I think we resumed it with basically this year, I think, or maybe the end of last year, because we went off to Woolacombe Beach with my mum and my brothers at the end of last year, and we were going up the tours with my dad, and then I continued going up the tours with my dad in Dartmoor through this year, and pretty much most of the year went to a lot of tours down what I like to call the Western Line, which I did a map of. It's on my channel. Basically tours easily accessible in the west side of Dartmoor National Park, which is this kind of circle in the centre of Devon, which is where all the mountainous regions are, and where the towns and things aren't, except for a few exceptions. That was cool. And I found out that the amount of tours that are in Dartmoor, there's so many left to visit that I don't know if I'm even going to get through them all. I thought I'd be able to conquer all the tours in the west side of Dartmoor, but then I found these maps online which were different from the Ordnance Survey maps, you know, the basic maps you can buy in shops of your local region and stuff. And they showed that there were even more tours than there were on the standard maps. So I was like, can't do it all, I don't think. But I had a good crack at it. I went to a lot of the main ones, so that was cool. Also, early in January, I had a little trip to Weymouth that I really liked, and walked down Portland Bill all the way to the southern point. It's quite nice. It feels, I know it's not actually the most southern point of England, but it always feels like it to me. I think I live more south than that in Cornwall and Devon region, and you have to go all the way to the tip of Cornwall to reach the most southern point, to something called the Lizard Point, which I guess I could do that sometime. Might be quite nice to go John O'Groats in Scotland. I think that's the most northern tip of England. I could do the 4 points maybe at some point. The most eastern tip, the most westerly tip. The most westerly tip of England would be... what would that be? Because Wales isn't counted as England, so it depends on if you're going to do the most western tip of the UK, in which case Ireland? Somewhere on the coast? Or if you do the most western tip of... is it Britain that only contains Wales and ignores Ireland? In which case you'd be going to... I'm not sure if the western tip of Wales is more sticky out to the west than Cornwall, or if it's Cornwall, in which case I might have been to the most western point already, around sort of Sennen Cove sort of area. I don't know what the most eastern point is. I guess it's around that big hump on the side near, what is that, Norfolk, Norwich, that sort of area? I'm guessing it's that. So that might be interesting to do sometime. I'm just kind of chucking ideas out there though. Just kind of interests me, kind of geography and looking at maps and playing around with maps as an interest of mine. Navigation and that sort of thing. And then for my main trip abroad, I went to Cyprus, which was great. I did a little video of that. Didn't get back to go to Romania this year, unfortunately. Would like to do that again sometime and try and use a bit more like phrases and stuff in the street sort of thing. Yeah, I went to Cyprus. Cyprus is sort of where I was brought up as a kid, so it was nice visiting Nisi Beach, which was a place that I actually got taken as a kid to see a few times. Can't actually visit where I live as a kid because UK military base I think is off limits to tourists, even if you're British or something. I think that's, yeah, basically it. But I visited, I had some nice holiday there in the warmth. It's kind of like deserty, but with a coast. It's that Mediterranean climate, a little bit Middle Eastern sort of thing. Yeah, and I always remember it being kind of sandy and deserty when I lived there. And then later in the year I visited Malvern in England, which is another place I used to live a long time ago. And I walked up some of the Malvern Hills. I think I was planning on walking over all of them. I think until I started walking up quite a few of them, then I realised just how long that range is. And I don't think I had enough time put aside to go down the entire curve of it, right to the, I think there's an old Roman fortification or something on the last mound, and then would have had to come all the way back to the northern mound to get to my hotel again. So I don't think I only put like a day aside for it or something, so it wasn't enough time. Yeah, and around April, or maybe it was a bit before that, in March. It's pretty weird. I got asked out on a date by a girl who was simultaneously one of my customers in the shop and also someone I'd seen on a dating site, coincidentally. And she asked me out for a drink, like coffee or something, and then we went on a few dates, and then that kind of fell apart. And then later on in the year I met another girl through DA. I've met quite a lot of people actually off DA, DeviantArt, which is the art gallery site where I post my digital art to and stuff. I've met a fair few people off that. It's quite a nice social network, to be honest. There are some dodgy parts to it, certainly, but yeah, it's always felt kind of homely to me, that site, and they might change it. I think they've started changing it a lot, so in the future it might not be the same, but I always have good memories of that site. And yeah, this year I met a girl off there, and she was in Newcastle, so I thought I'd fly up to Newcastle on a plane to meet her, because trains up to the north of England actually cost way more than planes do, so it just seemed so much easier just to fly up there. And yeah, we had a nice time there. I was actually surprised at how Newcastle, the city, is right next to some quite nice beaches. I thought it was all kind of quite urban and stuff up there, maybe some moorlands and castles, but they've got pretty nice beaches that aren't too bad. Around the end of the year, I tried to start up a business again. I've been trying on and off for a while. I keep getting like part way into learning about stuff and how it works, and then getting discouraged. This year I got the closest that I'd ever been to starting a business. I was even at the point of getting a lease for a high street shop to run part of the business in. Unfortunately that kind of fell apart, and I got discouraged by various people again, and was looking at finances and wondering like how much of a budget I actually had. Like, I had enough to last me a few months, let's say, selling goods to customers, but it was all dependent on how certain, or uncertain should I say, I would have been as to whether I'd get customers coming in or not, because if you start up a business you don't actually know whether customers are going to come in or not. I mean, you're bound to get a few, maybe a small amount, but if you're just beginning and you don't have tons of marketing and you don't have enough money for like to get your name out there everywhere, to get known, then in the first few months it's the hardest, I think, and less people come in. So it was looking kind of hazy as to whether the future of that business would work, and in the end it kind of broke down again. So I might have another try at that in future when I'm in a slightly better position. And it was interesting to go through. I learnt a lot of stuff, but the thing is, if I started going into that sort of business again, I'd have to relearn all that stuff again. Not just because I'm a little bit forgetful, but because a lot of things can change before you do it again. If you try and start a business again in a few years after you've had a try, things may have changed a lot, the rules may have changed, the situation of the world may have changed. It's a lot to consider, and also I just didn't have enough resources, and the people around me who were meant to be supporting me weren't giving me those resources, so it was quite difficult, to be honest, near the end, and I had to let it go, basically. And now I've got some shelves down in my garage that I bought that I don't really know what I'm going to do with at the moment. I have to figure out what on earth I can do with those, or if I can keep them for the future. But yeah, it was, let's say it's an interesting experience anyway, to start going through that, and I quite liked phoning. A lot of it was hunting for the floor space for a long time. And I was going to different parts of my county and the county across from me and phoning lots of people up, and I quite liked the information I was getting back from the phone calls, and a lot of people really treat you as like a mature businessman if you kind of start phoning them up. They like treat you like someone who knows what they're doing when they call you, and they don't treat you like an inferior person, sort of thing. I really liked that aspect of phoning around and talking to people. You talk to all the estate agents, you talk to all these council people who are in charge of city planning and stuff, and at one point I found what was basically an under construction town centre that was advertising retail space in shell format, which I learnt was like completely concrete inside walls, Spartan, probably no plumbing or toilet, and so you kind of do it up yourself and stuff. But this was in like a town that hadn't been constructed yet, so the city planners were putting the streets in order and stuff, and they said where it was, and they said there's going to be a residential area here. It doesn't even exist yet. There's going to be a retail area here on a crossroads, which was what I was looking at. There's some 2B shop units there. Doesn't even exist yet. But we can call you back in a year to 5 years. I was like, oh, what? I just kind of stumbled upon this from a really odd map that was being advertised on one of these kind of housing, commercial property amalgamation websites. Really strange to find that sort of thing. Also, I was trying to keep my YouTube channel going as normal, and obviously that's what you're watching this on right now. It's become more of a travel channel than it used to in past years. I think a couple of years before now it was more of a gaming channel, and I still do a bit of gaming, but I haven't picked up any new games, so I'm constantly showing clips of Battlefield 1 and Space Engineers and Medieval Engineers and oldies and stuff. Stuff I'm comfortable with and that I'm used to and that I really enjoy, that I guess comes from the past, except in a few instances. I watch a lot of streams playing games, like Harmful Opinions and Razor Fist, but I don't actually get to buy many of my own new games or mess around with new games, so it's been more of a travel channel, I guess. Recently I've been uploading all my tour videos and travels to the channel, and obviously I do a vlog every now and then, which sometimes veers into politics, as it would in these days, and sometimes it doesn't. I've not been doing enough reviews. I really want to do more reviews, like film reviews and things. Not necessarily of modern stuff, because most modern stuff is pretty crap, to be honest. I don't like it, but there's a lot of stuff in the past which I always would like to, show to new people, to, explain that there's this amazing stuff out there that has existed for a long time, and people may not know about it, or they may not be going back and watching the old good classics. They're relying on all the new generations of things that aren't actually that good. So reviews is something I wish I could do more. I've been doing audiobooks quite a lot. I'm quite into that. Doing the audiobook readings, mainly H.G. Wells stuff, has helped me kind of express myself and help me try and speak clearly, because I'm not very good at speaking clearly. Projecting, I'm an introvert and I slur my words, and I do spoonerisms and things quite a lot, so I kind of mix things together while I'm saying them that a word wasn't what I was supposed to be saying, sort of thing. And it's I'm never going to be a public speaker or anything, because I trip over my words way too much. But it's helped me a lot, like reading, especially someone as eloquent as H.G. Wells, reading stuff like The Time Machine, War of the Worlds. That's kind of helpful to me, like trying to get your tongue around crazy sentences with all these words in. Kind of, some of them might be archaic words, so you're always kind of surprised second by second that just a word's going to pop up that doesn't make any sense to you now, but made sense to a lot more people in Victorian times. And if you thought about it for a bit and where the words come from, they'd make sense to you. A funny one is like the word fag has so many meanings. I think in America people just think like fag means like I don't know, like either an insult for a gay person or like a self-identifier for a gay person or something. It has so many more meanings than that. And so over here in Britain we have the fag, which is the cigarette. We also have the faggots, which are a food that you eat. I think my dad buys them. I think they're made of pork. And my favourite one I discovered in an H.G. Wells novel, which is fatigue. And I'm sure I've said this in a vlog somewhere before once. There was like a line in the start of The Sleeper Awakes at some point that said something like, brain fag is no match for body fag, or something. I was like, what? And I had to look into it, and it actually means fatigue, like tiredness. It's like, that's my favourite meaning for the word. And yeah, I wish alarm bells wouldn't ring in people's heads when they hear certain words, because they do mean other things to other people in other countries. And yeah, audiobook readings, I'm gonna keep doing those. I'd like to do more reviews though. I did get involved more with politics a bit more, and just I guess because so many political things were going on this year, I supported various personalities who were pushing in the right direction, away from the far left, and I actually kind of visited a political event thing for a cause that I supported that later in the year kind of destroyed itself and is no longer supportable at all until they sort themselves out. And then of course the Brexit thing, it basically has not happened, and I don't believe that it will happen, so we're kind of trapped by that at the moment until someone sees fit to do a no deal and get us straight out. It's kind of a ship dead in the water at the moment. Yeah. But yeah, it's been a really eventful year for me. A lot of years before now have been pretty bad, to be honest. 2014 was interesting because I lived in Bath for a bit, and I was on the cusp of getting myself set up with a job and a house. Well, a flat, should I say. But I didn't have enough support back then, and yeah. That kind of broke down just right at the same time as some crazy things in the world were happening, I think, where ISIS and the Arab Spring were coming to the fore, and social justice was getting worse and worse. And then, because of the aforementioned things, the last few years have been pretty shit, to be honest. Pretty kind of dark and loveless and terrifying, but this year, I'm going to say this year has been good to me on the whole, and I put that mainly down to the broader array of experiences, all the different things that I did and that had happened to me, even if a few of those things I wish were still ongoing right now, and I do get very depressed still. I am. It may not seem like it when I do a video like this and I'm being a little bit jolly or something, or trying to break out of my introversion, but I am in a depression right now, and maybe this moment here is a little pocket of joy. This is a little lightness today. It's New Year's Eve, man. I'm gonna do stuff for New Year's Eve, and I'm gonna celebrate it more than I do for Christmas, and And I'm going to be watching some streams later and laughing with people I enjoy to watch, and I actually wish I could have got out travelling for New Year's Eve, but the public transport kind of shuts down on New Year's Day, so I couldn't actually go out today. I might go for a walk later, but I don't think any fireworks are going to be happening. I live out in the middle of nowhere. There's nothing particularly outside to see, but I'm going to celebrate it. And yeah, it's funny how when you're in a depression, there are these moments here and there that kind of make it seem to other people like you're not in one, and you kind of have to explain that this is just a lull in a larger thing that's happening that depends on many kind of traps and many wells that you're stuck in that you don't really see a way out of. People tell you to keep positive and they bring up all these positive things, but you know it would take too long to explain to them just how many bad things are going on right now that hold you back from saving your family and saving yourself and having some kind of normal future. But yeah, I'm bringing it down by talking about that, so I'm not going to talk about that. But I wish you all a good new year, 2020. Man, 2020, they're going to have those crazy elections at the end of this coming year, aren't they, in America? I wonder if that's going to go anything like our elections or not. It's going to be weird to watch that. I guess if I do a breadth of experiences next year, then I can make the next year happier like this one, and maybe that'll be some kind of stepping stone to brightening up what's going on around here, and maybe I can get out of the depression that I'm in. One thing at a time, I guess. Just try and fix small things at first and then work your way up. But if I can do a lot of experiences and travel to a few places and have a few serendipitous things happen to me that I didn't actually make happen, which happened this year, then next year could be a good year as well. And I hope that happens for you too, especially if you're in depression. I know solidarity is flung around these days in kind of a very bad way by some of our enemies, but I am in solidarity to you if you are also in depression and are a bit black-pilled, seeing the world around us get worse and worse and worse, as it has been. As long as you're fairly sane, I identify with your sadness, basically, and I hope that we can all get out of this and have some laughs along the way and get ourselves to some better position. But anyway, yeah, talking about depression has dragged the mood down, so I'm going to be watching some streams later. I'm going to be doing some gaming, no doubt, in Battlefield 1. I'll be on there, I'll be playing late night, and try to stay happy, basically. So I hope you all have a good week. I hope you all have a good year. Good New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. And I'll put some videos out on my channel. And I'll see you later. Ciao.